Welcome to the Capital Light Assembly Podcast, brought to you by Edison Manufacturing and Engineering. I'm Brandon Bartnick, Vice President and General Manager here at Edison, covering a specific topic here, a common question you get asked, and a lot of people are asking in the industry. Should you manufacture in-house or should you work with a contract manufacturing partner? Not a simple question. A lot of different dimensions, considerations that go into this. I want to try to break that down. I'll talk about why you might want to consider in-house production, why you want to consider a contract manufacturing partner, and what to make out of all this. So we'll start with the in-house production side. So what are the benefits of in-house production? 7 of these. First, proximity between design and production. So your designers, naturally, assuming you're building the same building, are much closer to the production floor. It allows them to be closer to the product, especially early on during a launch, but even during production. It's great when the designers can be out there, spend time on the floor, and you have that kind of more natural communication between production and design. You can make improvements sooner. You have designers who actually understand the product and how it goes together. DFM, DFA feedback gets incorporated more efficiently, all this stuff. Number 2, it can be super scrappy if and when you need to be. So when you have in-house production, you control theoretically all the variables, assuming that you're able to get the right people and processes and equipment and all in place. If you need to work and rush for a deadline, you can do that. If you need to throw away everything you just did and change plans, can do that as well. You have the ability to really control your own destiny and be as scrappy or not as you would like. And this is different than a traditional contract manufacturer, right, who has a rigid milestone-based approach. You have gates you're going through. Once you get locked in, you launch, you have these expectations, and you're stuck in kind of a rigid timeline. So you're able to be more, if when required, you can be scrappier if you're doing in-house production. Number 3, theoretically, you have the potential to capture greater margin. So contract manufacturers need to make money. They need to keep the lights on. There is margin to be captured that they are capturing within this ecosystem. If you are able to produce at the same cost and quality level as your contract manufacturing partner, you can take on that margin. I emphasize the if because it's much easier said than done. You're assuming that you're going to be able to produce with that same cost and quality level without the economies of scale, without the ability to share across multiple programs, probably without the experience and skill set the contract manufacturing partner has, without the focus on that specific area. If you can do it, there's things that you can capture, and there's the opportunity to increase your bottom line profitability. Very, very challenging, though. Number 4, confidentiality becomes super simple. So when you're working with a contract manufacturer, naturally they're building products for several different companies. If it's a poorly run contract manufacturer, confidentiality becomes a challenge. Any contract manufacturer worth its salt handles this stuff really well and takes it really seriously. They have physical as well as digital controls in place. You have a culture that prioritizes confidentiality and keeping IP between different projects, but it's super simple if it stays within your 4 walls. Right? Number 5, maybe the most important one, flexibility. So the scrappiness is kind of an element to this, but there's more to it than this. So there's a reason that contract manufacturers get a bad rap for change orders and for marking up price and being super rigid and taking advantage when something goes wrong, and then really marks up that cost. You have delays, you have downtime that you have to pay for. If you have production in-house and you have all the resources that you need, which again, there's an if there. If you have the facility, if you have the people, the access to the different things you need, theoretically, you can be far more flexible, certainly than a traditional contract manufacturer who is known for being rigid and following kind of a set playbook and probably doesn't have the same speed of culture, or speed isn't emphasized to the same degree that probably is within your company. So yeah, flexibility is number 5. Number 6, you can control your own destiny when it comes to quality and delivery performance. Again, if you're working with a good contract manufacturer, probably not a concern, but there's lots of bad contract manufacturers out there. And by having in-house production, quality, from incoming quality to in-process quality to end of line, everything in between, as well as delivery, right? Supply chain, performance, production, execution. You control your own destiny. There's no one to blame if you don't deliver, but at the same time, if you do deliver, like you get to choose whether you effectively get to choose whether you deliver with how well you execute. So you get to control your own destiny here. Number 7, ultimately, you care more, right? This is your product. This is your baby. You're spending all your time thinking about this product, this launch, this company, When something goes wrong, you're going to be more incentivized, more eager, likely to solve that challenge, certainly than a traditional contract manufacturer, where you're one of many customers, probably not one of the big customers. And you have people who, especially at the working levels, probably realistically, right, this is a job. They're coming, executing. You got something that goes wrong 5:30 on a Friday evening. Are they really going to disrupt their weekend plans to come and solve it for you? Probably not. Also, I mean, you hear horror stories, right, of people who, contract manufacturers who run out of fasteners and suddenly throw their hands up and production stop, and there's delivery gets pushed out and there's costs because of a simple fastener. You can control that and you can prevent that if you have in-house production. With that said, it's not all bad. There are benefits of why you might want to work with a contract manufacturer. I'll break down a few of these as well. So the first one is you can get to the market faster. So you, rather than needing to set up all of your infrastructure yourself, you have building systems, ERP system, manufacturing execution system, MES, QMS, quality management system, project management systems, processes, all of this already exists. It's proven. You don't need to develop this from ground up. You can just utilize what's already there. You can utilize the expertise, this existing system, get to market faster than you can otherwise. You also can execute, number two, in a way that has more predictable cost. So rather than having more variable, unpredictable direct cost bases, you have, once you get it to a production, you have a predictable per unit cost that you're paying to your contract manufacturer, and you can plan for that more reliably than you can if you were producing in-house. Number three, you can reduce your capital investment. So again, the infrastructure exists for a contract manufacturing partner. Rather than you needing to go and set all this up and deploy the capital to do that, you can use what's already there. Allows you to move faster, also to be more flexible, because you get to wait to deploy your capital when and where it makes most sense. Number four, I know I mentioned profit margin on the other side, but number four, you have higher net margin potential working with a CM. So especially if manufacturing isn't what you want to do, if you're a software company, if you are a technology company, something like that, this isn't going to be the highest margin activity within your business. Working with a contract manufacturer allows you to emphasize the higher margin activities. It also produces risk. I mean, I mentioned previously, it's very hard to replicate the performance of a company that is specialized at doing this one thing really well. If that's not your core business, not your sole business, it's tough to replicate it. No, it sounds good in theory. It's tough to replicate. So often you're going to actually see a higher net profit margin by working with a contract manufacturer if you work with the right one. Number five, you can leverage relevant specialized knowledge to launch your product in the most optimal manner, right? Working with a good contract manufacturer who knows what they're doing, you have this base foundational manufacturing experience getting deployed to your technology. They are helping you to proactively identify and avoid the roadblocks that could trip you up. They're helping you make judgment calls, make planning decisions, things that first time going through a launch, you're going to make a ton of mistakes. There's so many things that could go wrong. Some of them certainly are going to go wrong. If you've gone through a few of these, and if you have a good understanding of what's likely to come up, you're able to ask the right questions so that you can improve your odds, your judgment, your discernment, so that you are less likely to get tripped up. Or if you do get tripped up, it's over the small stuff, not the huge stuff that's going to kill you, right? Number six, you can focus on your core competency. If you're not going into business to be a manufacturer, focus on the stuff that you want to do best. Focus on the software, focus on the technology, whatever it is where you're shaking up your industry, focus there, and you're able to rely on a manufacturing partner to figure out the rest, right? Figure out the production processes, how you're going to build your product, do the upfront work, the failure modes and effects analysis, the control plans, develop the work instruction, develop the assembly plant layout, the line layout, the process flow, all of that. Build up the supply chain if you need to, and then put together the right pieces so you can execute production in an effective, reliable manner. You can leverage all of that experience and focus on what you do best. Number seven, with that said, if you work with the right contract manufacturer, you should have greater reliability and performance than you would working in-house. You're leveraging skill set, experience of people who are focused on just doing this one thing really well and are passionate about the physical manufacturing of these products and can deliver and execute for you. So there's pros and cons on both sides, right? And really kind of one of the interesting things, and the reason I'm here, the reason Edison here is this is a dichotomy that has served the industry, right? You can either do this in-house production or work with a contract manufacturer. And you have to pick. It's black or white. You have to pick between the two, and you have a trade-off decision to make. Edison tries to thread the needle and split the difference here, and I think we do it really well. What if you're launching a product where you don't want to deploy a ton of capital up front? You want to be able to focus on your core competency. You want to leverage an experienced automotive manufacturing team and foundation, but you need flexibility, you need speed, and you need people who really care about your product and want to be transparent and fast and collaborative. That's where we come in. We are designed to be that fast, collaborative extension of your in-house team as a production partner, right? The people who are going to work closely with your design team so that you do get that closed loop, that fast feedback and working together. The people who are going to be right next to you on your side of the table, working to solve the hardest manufacturing problems. That's what excites me. That's why I'm here. I mean, yeah, the traditional contract manufacturers serve a lot of great needs. A lot of companies make sense for you to build in-house, but there's this messy middle where there's a significant need, and we have a lot of fun serving being that contract manufacturing partner. So if you need any help, shoot me a note, Brandon Bartnick at edison-mfg.com. Thanks.